Sadly for some, maybe here even this evening, Herod's response to John's preaching mirrors your response to gospel preaching. You're not adverse. You're not adverse to straight-talking preaching. In fact, you actually kind of enjoy that style of preaching. Wafflers and those who tiptoe with regard to gospel preaching really you despise. You'd rather have a man preach forthright and with authority, with conviction, with what he's saying is true. You like that kind of style of preaching. You like it whenever the preacher gives it to the congregation. You like it whenever the preacher is direct. You like him whenever he preaches with passion and energy and dynamism and with authority. And whenever another preacher comes and fills the pulpit who's maybe not as dynamic and not as forthright as the preacher that you know of and the preacher that you like, well, then you make the comment to the person that invited you along to the meeting. You would say to them, they're just not my cup of tea. There are times that you have even left the house of God, having enjoyed the gospel as it's been preached. But while you have loved how men have preached, you haven't fallen in love with what they have preached. And that's the problem. You see, for you, the sinner, it's style above substance. It's style above substance. Is it not the case that the preacher conveys to you some of the most weighty of eternal matters in their preaching? The truth about sin, your estrangement from God, your transgression of His holy law. Have they not spoken to you about judgment? The judgment that awaits the person who is out of Christ, your own personal accountability to God for sin. They've spoken to you about wrath. They've spoken to you about hell. They've spoken about eternal punishment and abandonment from God and separation from God eternally. But these truths have not troubled you one iota. I tell you, you're like Herod. You're just like Herod. For you can sit through gospel meetings and you can sit through some of the most dynamic of preaching without feeling ever one shred of conviction over your sin. Never is there any concern in your soul about the spiritual matters. You have no compassion for the Savior. What is to be your end, sinner? I ask again, sinner, what is to be your end? To live and die without Christ is something that you do not want to do.